Hi, I'm Marcus with Clarity Business Solutions. Earlier today, I got a call from Dr. Jim, and he wants a way to summarize his patient notes and findings and results into a technical document that he can then share with his team. As we talked through his solution, I really thought that a local large language model would be able to help him achieve this in a very efficient way. He was quite concerned about security, and understandably so, and really wants to make sure that his patient information stays safe and secure. I assured him that we can do that using large language models on a local machine within his FileMaker solution and to do it very effectively and efficiently. Today, I want to outline how I got that done so that you can do it too. Let's get started. So our first point of decision is, what model are we going to use? There's a lot of things we want to consider in selecting a model, but we're going to focus first on what size of a model do we want to pick. So when you go look at models, you're going to see that these models have different options, and they're often around the B. So it could be a 1B, it could be a 12B, it could be a 72B. What the B refers to is the billions of parameters that are part of the model. So basically think the larger the B, 72B, then the more brain power it has. The smaller the parameter size, 1 billion size model, the more performant it's going to be, but it might produce gobbledygook or not great results. Ideally, we'd be in the 4B or 12B parameter. I think that's the sweet spot where we can really get some performance. Luckily for Jim, he's got a Linux machine that he can run in his local environment that we can set up as a service that he can then put that model on and implement it. That's the next thing you need to consider in picking your model is, what machine is this going to be running on? If we're going to run it right on a local machine, we might need to really push down the model size. In this case, I think a 12 billion parameter model is going to work really well for us. So then our next decision is, well, what model are we going to pick? Let's talk about that next. We're going to look now at where you can stay current on what models are available to you and where you want to go to kind of check up on that. For me, I really like to go to Ollama to do that. And so when you load up Ollama here, you just want to click on models, as I've already done. It's going to give you a list of models. Over here, you can pick between the newest. It defaults to the most popular. I find that the most popular is often going to give you the best results. And so you can see here already, DeepSeek, which was all a rage, a month and a half ago, has now been moved down. There's a few more popular models that we can explore. So this is a really great space to go and kind of stay current. If you click into the model itself, it gives you breakdown about what's going on around it. You can look at the weights, how it's doing, its performance. It's a great place to just kind of go get current. The other place that I often go is on YouTube, and there's various channels that will give you the latest news. If you just simply go into YouTube and do AI news, you'll get the latest news. And this space is moving very quickly. So staying up to date every week in terms of what's happening, it's 20 minutes, half an hour of your time every week to do that. I would highly encourage you to do that so that you know what is the latest model that you want to be recommending to your customers. Next, we need to decide, what service are we going to use? And what do I mean by a service? So when you're using proprietary models like OpenAI or Claude or Google Gemini, those are the service providers, and you can make an API call to those providers, get an API key, and get a response back. In a local model, you need to provide your own service. You need to stand up a web server that you can make API calls against. So next, we're going to take a look at two different options we can use to set up that server, which one I recommend and why. There are two big players for services for local models that I want to look at. We're going to look at lmstudio and we're going to look at Ollama. So what you can see here on the screen, we've already got Ollama up. If this is the service you want to use, simply go to llama.com and download based on whatever operating environment you're in. They have the ability to run in both Mac, Linux, and Windows world. Ollama is a great service. It is what's called CLI, so it's terminal based. It's very straightforward. It's extremely easy to set up. So once we go ahead and download this, we can simply go to the model, and we said we were going to work with 5.4. So we're going to go here to 5.4. We're going to click on it. We're going to grab this Ollama, run 5.4. We're going to go to the terminal. We're going to go ahead and just paste that in. We're going to hit enter. And now I'm into 5.4 and it's up and ready for our service. And I can interact with it and say hello right here. And Fi is going to respond back. And there's our answer. So we're up and running, just that simple. Our other option is LM Studio. As a service provider, the biggest differentiator between it and Ollama is a GUI. LM Studio, you have a full UI that you can interact with around setting it up and getting it started. The other main differentiator with LM Studio is its ability to really fine tune what model you want to pick. So let me show you here. If we go to search, and we can go in here now and I can filter based on GGUF or MLX. Now, why would I want to do that? The biggest reason is that GGUF is tuned for Mac M1 computers. So if you're on a Mac M1 environment, you definitely want to use GGUF. It's really going to make use of all those graphical GPUs that you want to make use of that you got that come with these machines. So let's make use of them. If you're not in a Mac environment, GGUF is dead to you. It just doesn't work. So don't download that model. So in Jim's case, we're running in a Linux environment. So we want to use the MLX models. You see here, I've got 5.4 selected. So now we're just going to make sure we're going to go for the 8-bit model because we've got a little bit more performance we want to get out of this to get it going. And then we're just going to click download here and we're ready to go. That model is now loaded and good to go. Our next thing we need to look at is how are we going to start talking to these models? So let's talk about endpoints. So now that we've got a service up and running, we need to know what endpoint we want to talk to. Because at the end of the day, interacting with an LLM is really just about making an endpoint call. So if you're working with Ollama, you need to go to the GitHub page. In their documents, they've got lots of different endpoints you can interact with. It's great to read up on that, take a look at that. The endpoint that you really want is the API chat endpoint. I recommend, especially in a FileMaker environment, to turn off streaming. That's the same with if you're using LM Studios. We'll talk about that in a little bit. You grab this endpoint, that's the endpoint you're going to need. Now, if you're in LM Studios, we want to go to the developer page here, and right at the top of your service are going to be your supported endpoints, right? And so in this environment, when you're working with LLMs, it's typically called a completion endpoint that you want to take a look at. And in this case, we're going to be working with this endpoint right here. So you pick your model, you pick your provider or your service, and now we're going to pick our endpoint and we're ready to move on to FileMaker and how we're going to use it to interact with this service. Now that we've got our service set up, we've got to do a little bit more massaging of Jim's data. We're going to have to do another video on how we do that. But essentially, when you're working with large sets of data, you need to make that data available to the large language model. In this case, we're going to either need to set up all of the documents into FileMaker and do what's called chunking on that and set that up as a RAG repository that we can search against, or we can provide the LLM all of the data that's in those files and ask it to give a summary. And you would do that by putting that into the prompt. This explainer video isn't going to go into a lot of the details of how we would do that. This is really about how to set up the local model. In future videos, in future presentations, we can certainly look at how to get this data into the local model and start to react with it, whether you're using local or a provider. That's fine. It's the same process. Here, you just need to understand that we've already massaged the data. We've already made it available to the LM. I've put it in the prompt. And now we're going to simulate as if we're going to be talking to the LLM and giving us the data back. So now we got our model selected. We've picked our provider, our service that's up and running. We've got our endpoints. We need to now make this available in Jim's solution. What I've done for you guys is I've put together a file that allows you to go in and set this up in FileMaker. I'm going to show you how to do that next. First thing you need to do is go to FMAI.app and go ahead and sign in, sign up. It's free service. And there I've got the demo files over here. You can just click on demo file and you can pick which one. And this one, you're going to want to download the LLM chat. Once you've downloaded the file, you can click here. It will probably start in the chat UI. You want to switch over to the LLM setup. In this case, I've given you 3 providers already here ready to go. We've got your LM Studio, we've got your Ollama, and we've got your OpenAI. In the OpenAI, you want to just make sure you put in your API key. Otherwise, you don't need an API key for Ollama and LM Studios. I've already got the endpoints that you need for these models. What you do want to run those, you do want to run your load models here so that it loads the models that you have loaded with whatever provider you're using. Once that's done, we go over here to chat. You pick your model that you want to use. In this case, we're going to go with LM Studios, and you go in here and we're going to start chatting with this model. So we can go ahead here and we can put in a response. We can hit play or hit send, just like you do with any chat model. It's going to think, and as you can see here, it's coming back with a response. Finally, we need to be able to provide this data so that the LM model can interact with Jim and his data. So in this case, I can't show you Jim's patient data for very obvious reasons. So what I've done is I live in a beautiful city, Victoria, British Columbia, proudly Canadian. I've went down to Wikipedia, grabbed all of its text, and I'm just going to paste it in here. And then I'm just going to type in underneath it, summarize this data. We're going to go ahead and hit chat. And as you can see here, it's come back with this great summary. Now we can grab that data from the model and place it into a text to make it available for Jim. It's all there for you, ready to go. Finally, I just want to show you behind the scenes in terms of this solution and how you can do that. So as you know, you can just open up your script editor here. What we've got here is we basically have two scripts that you want to pay attention to, your make your call and your local models. On your make your call, you can see here at the end that I just set the results to a global field. You can just play with those results, set them in any way you want. It's just a JSON, so you can pull out the information that you need from it, interact with the LLM and the model until you're getting the results that you want. I should take a point to speak about that just a little bit. LLMs do think, they do respond, and a lot of what making them work is around spending some time on your prompt. In this case, I just gave it a large text and a very simple question, summarize the data. If you're not getting the results back that you want, you're probably going to want to spend time with your prompt and keep working with the model until you're starting to get a very consistent result back. You can hard code that prompt then and use that in your responses back. Today, we've taken a look at local models, how to set them up, what service provider you use, how to interact with that model. I hope you found this very helpful. The files are there and ready for you to use. Just again, go to FMAI.app to go ahead and get those. If you're watching us on YouTube and like to see more, feel free to subscribe, like, all the things. You know the things. You know how to do it. Go ahead and do it. We love it. If you're here, part of the user group, let's have a chat. Let's chat about this a little bit more. Talk about how we can do this. We're always available, Clarity Software Solutions. If you have any questions, we'd love to help you out. Keep playing with AI. It's an amazing tool.